Hi everybody, welcome to or back to my channel, MelCabeyVlogs. If you're new here, hey, nice to meet you. My name is Mel. I have been living in New York City for 10 years. I'm an equity actor. I was on the chorus line national and international tour. I've worked on cruise ships, regional theaters, and I show a fully candid perspective on here of what it is like to be an artist and also be a human with other jobs and everything else. So subscribe. Okay guys, buckle up because today it's a big one. We have a lot to cover. It's a doozy. So we're just gonna start with, I got a full-time, what I'm calling a muggle job, meaning a normal person job, a non-performing job. And I somehow have made it to 32 years old without ever having a 9 to 5. I have had just lots of side gigs. I've done, front desk at a spa and a gym. I've done nannying, things like that. And then kind of for the past 2 years, I have been freelance writing and I have also been doing social media. So kind of those two together have been what I've been living off of. But also within the past, I would say year or so, I just have been feeling very overwhelmed with trying to balance the hustle of the freelance life with the hustle of being an actor, singer, dancer. And I've been looking for a way to kind of manage all of this better. So I've been thinking, okay, I would like to try the 9 to 5 life and see if that stability, having benefits, having paid time off, having paid sick days, having a consistent schedule, I've been curious to see if that is going to be better for my mental health, but also financially, all of that. So I've been applying to jobs like crazy and I haven't been getting any of them. I think I've probably, if I go through and count, I've probably applied to 200 to 300 jobs in the past year, but a lot of it has been in the past 7 months since January. And then last week I posted on Instagram and I was like, does anyone have a job that's hiring? Because it's getting bad. I need consistent money. And somebody replied and they were like, wait, my office is. And she sent me the listing. And immediately I was like, wait, this feels like a great fit. So I applied. The next morning they sent me an interview and I was so excited. I went to the interview and interviewed with 4 different people on the team at the office. And immediately I got just such a good vibe from them. I really liked their energy. I'm very much an energy person. So I really felt like, I was like, yeah, this feels good. And then Friday, I got offered the job and I accepted it. And I'm honestly feeling so excited for a lot of reasons. And there's a lot we're gonna talk about with this whole decision. But first, kind of something that I have been thinking about with all of this and what I talked to my sisters about it this weekend is the landscape of musical theater and the business itself has changed drastically. I would say from 2015 to 2020 was a big shift, and then after COVID, a gigantic shift. And there's a few reasons why. I will say I believe that more and more people are choosing to pursue theater, so the industry is a lot more saturated, and that has to do with just the influx of BFA programs around the country, of seeing people having access to social media, literally people seeing my videos, people being able to follow people on Broadway and seeing their life and it inspiring them to follow the same thing. That wasn't as accessible when I was growing up I graduated high school in 2012. So it was slightly a thing, but not very much. And now it is massive. So I think with all of that put together, more and more people are pursuing this as a career. And with that, there are less jobs happening in general, because also like Broadway is not doing well. Theater in this country is not doing well. Shows are barely lasting. And I've said on here before, I've gone to regional theater auditions for an ensemble call, and I have seen somebody who has played Elphaba on Broadway in Wicked sitting in the same holding room as me, waiting to audition for the ensemble of Hello Dolly at a random regional theater. Like, that's where we are in the business. Kind of knowing that, and I think like coming to terms with that in my mind, big picture, I'm not giving up on my dreams. I still love theater so much. I came this far and I've achieved so much in this business, and I'm not ready to stop. However, I'm coming to terms with the reality of it, and I'm trying to adjust and make my reality of it still exist, if that makes sense. We have the picture of kind of what the industry looks like now. And I think when I was starting college in 2012, the idea of being a working actor, meaning you can make most of your money from acting, whether that be, you know, working regionally, internationally, on Broadway, tours, I think it was much more common. Like, the idea of somebody booking multiple shows a year was common. Now, if any of my friends book one show in a year, it is a huge deal. And for a lot of us, that show is like 2 months of our life. So 2 out of the 12 months of the year, we're getting to live our dreams. But then the other 10 months, like what is going on? And I think kind of letting that reality sink in, I'm like, I need to make some moves and adjust. So moving forward, here's my plan. And I do feel lucky because I'm at this point where I've worked regionally at some great theaters. I did a Broadway national and international tour, and I worked on cruise ships. And I feel very satisfied in kind of all of that and what I achieved. Of course, I could always want more. Like, I wish I was in a lot more shows. But, you know, given that, I'm like, okay, I feel very good and proud of myself, and I did that. And kind of allowing myself to know that the working actor lifestyle is not as achievable, I thought, okay, what are my actual goals now? So in reality, moving forward, I really just would love to book another Broadway tour or finally book a show on Broadway. And the journey to get there is not linear. The friends who I have who have achieved those goals, it's always so random, and there is no one singular path to make this happen. So I thought, okay, if I can create a stable life for myself with a 9-to-5, where I can still train and take classes after work, after 5 p.m. or on the weekends, have my weekly voice lessons, and be in tip-top shape, ready to go, ready, you know, for when my Broadway debut calls, then that would be ideal, because I could still be financially stable. I could be working towards my future and owning an apartment one day, or owning a house one day, or maybe one day having a child. It makes me just feel mentally so much better to have that, but then also it makes me feel good to keep that door open for my dreams. So I spoke to my agent this morning, and she actually said the sweetest thing. I'm gonna read some of what she said. It was just like, it made me feel so much better. So I told her the whole plan and like reached out to her, and I said, moving forward, I don't really want to be auditioning for regional theater anymore unless it is with a specific choreographer who, you know, it would be life-changing or incredibly beneficial for me to work with them. That is the only time, but I am making this full-time job my priority, and I want to stay here at this full-time job. You know, I don't want to be leaving. And then I said, so when you're submitting me for appointments, I really want it to only be Broadway shows. And she replied and she said, don't look at you getting another job as any defeat. Look at it as a way to keep doing what you love in the most easy and most financially positive way possible. This isn't going to be a problem for me at all, so don't let it be one for you, and we will make it work, which I think is really, really sweet. And then she was like, things are going to work out, you'll see. So also, like, hearing that my agent understands made me feel really good. And I think ultimately I'm just going to become very specific with the things that I'm aiming for in theater. So for example, I would say if you were to ask me what are the 3 shows I could see myself in right now, it would be Chicago, Just in Time, and Death Becomes Her. Death Becomes Her is no longer on Broadway, but it's on tour. And then Just in Time is on Broadway, and they are launching a tour next summer, and Chicago's on Broadway. So knowing that in my head, if I ever see a class with the choreographers of any of those shows, and if I can go, if it's in a time outside of work that I can go, I will be there. Or if I'm able to take private lessons with them or connect with them somehow, I'm going to do that. I'm keeping my eyes and ears open for any opportunity like that. And that'll kind of be in lieu of me going to the equity course called Auditions, which I would go to a lot that you've seen on this channel. And if my agent gets me an appointment, usually appointments are about 45 minutes. So I could make that. Oh, also, I don't know if I mentioned, the job is 3 days in person, 2 days hybrid, and I can choose the days each week that I want to be remote. So usually I get enough notice from my agent and I could make it work on a lunch break to go do that audition. Or if if it's something really big, like I'm getting a call back for Chicago on Broadway, I'll take a personal day. So that's kind of the plan. And then also, and this is like so crazy, but there are a lot of people on Broadway, not like a lot, but there are people on Broadway who have 9-to-5s, who are like fully have 2 careers. They're on Broadway and they're doing something else. And during the day, they're doing, they're in the office. And if they have a matinee on a Wednesday, they'll make it work. But there are a lot of people that do that. So like, honestly, I'm even thinking in my mind, if I book my Broadway debut, I would have to take vacation for my rehearsal period, but I would love to be able to keep this job and be on Broadway. And seeing how other people are doing it now, like that actually is possible. And like, if and when I book my Broadway debut, it'll really only be, most of the time your contract is for 6 months. So that's just going to be a huge win and like, a life goal being achieved, but it would just be for 6 months. So then once that's over, it's back to the drawing board. It's like, what do I do? So I think having this job and being very dedicated to this job is going to be what's best for my life in general and my mental health. And then if something magical happens, then it does. But you have to adjust to the changing times. So that is the plan. As for this channel and everything and like what you should expect to see on here, you're just gonna see me continuing to hustle, but in a very different way. And like, I don't even know what that's gonna look like. So we're gonna go on this journey together and kind of see how I can balance all of this and what it ends up looking like. But I'm excited to see how it's gonna shake up. All right, that's it. That's my long spiel. Get ready for Corporate Mel starting next week. This is so crazy. I don't really want to give the details of what my job is just for privacy reasons, but it's basically an admin executive position in an office. So lots of organizational skills and, all that stuff that I love. To-do lists, checking things off, all that. Yeah, okay. That is it. I'll see you guys next week.